Hey everybody, my name is Marco Brown. I'm a divorce attorney in Salt Lake, and I'm doing a live stream today to talk about the top 3 secrets to get 50-50 custody in your divorce. So you got kids, people fight about 2 things in divorce. They fight about kids and money, and they spend a lot more money and time fighting about kids than they do fighting about money. So really in our divorces, most of the time, probably 80% of the time, is spent figuring out kids, and then 20% is figuring out the money. Now, there are some things that are that we need to figure out. Both of them, it's a confluence between money and children, like child support, alimony. These types of things all go together. But really, what most people care about is having time with their kids. That's our job, is to maximize the time with your children. We spend a lot of time doing that. So let's go over the top 3 secrets for getting 50-50 custody with your kids. All right, so the first one is be an involved parent. So this isn't being an involved parent like when you're going through the divorce process, right? So if you have to be an involved parent as you're going through the divorce process and you haven't been an involved parent before, then you're probably going to lose here, right? This is kind of deathbed repentance sort of thing. So while that's good, that's certainly not ideal. What you want is to have been an involved parent in your kid's life throughout your kid's life, okay? So what I'm talking about here is you get up with them in the morning, you help them get ready for school, you put them to bed at night, you read them stories, if your family is religious, you pray with them before they go to bed. You're doing all of these kind of normal parenting things. You're going to doctor's appointments, you're going to dentist appointments, you're going to parent-teacher conferences, you're doing homework with your kids, you're taking your kids to karate and to church and to their friends' houses. You know their friends, you know their grades, you know all of these things. Because when we get into custody trials and you don't know the names of your kids' teachers, you don't know your kids' grades, you don't know your kids' friends' names, you've never been to a dentist appointment, all of that stuff's going to come out. I guarantee it, because I do it every custody trial we have. I ask all of those sorts of questions, okay? And if you are not an involved parent, I'm going to find it out, right? And any good attorney worth their salt is going to find it out during trial. You are going to get completely exposed, okay? So be an involved parent throughout your kids' lives in all aspects of your kids' lives. What's that? Oh, it's turning off. Dang it. We are going to get this. 1 second.
Sorry, I warned you a little too late.
No, it's okay. It's okay. We'll figure these things out. Okay, it's going to come back up. All right, so again, be involved. That is absolutely the first thing. Out of all of the things we're going to talk about today, these 3 secrets, being involved in your kids' lives throughout their lives is by far the most important. Okay, let's get this back up. Okay, so that's number 1. We just got this vibe a few days ago, and it is super, super nifty, but it is also a little bit of a pain to use. Did it just disappear? Yeah, I think it did disappear. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, we're going to go with number 2 because I memorized these. So, okay. Sorry, I'm going to write here. So number 2 is be in the home when you file for divorce. Okay. This one is especially for the dads out there. Let me increase that so you can kind of see it. This is especially for the dads out there, because what happens is you decide you're going to get divorced, or one person decides you're going to get divorced. Maybe it's not even mutual, but one person decides it, and then almost invariably that person asks the other person to move out, especially if they're the wife. They will ask their husband to move out of the house because that is, for whatever reason, the socially normative thing to do, okay? And guys usually capitulate to this. They usually say, okay, that's fine, I want everything to be comfortable, so they leave. Now imagine that you do that and 3 months passes, 4 months passes, 5, 6 months passes. No one's filed for divorce, but your wife has had the kids the entire time, or your spouse, this does happen to women as well. Your spouse has the kids the vast majority of the time, and you see them like maybe 20% of the time, okay? And then you file for divorce, or somebody files for divorce, and you ask for 50-50 custody. So what's happened is that you haven't had 50-50 custody because you've been out of the house for 4, 5, 6 months. So there's what we call a status quo. A status quo has been entered, and that status quo is that you have 20% of the time and your spouse has 80% of the time with the kids. So you have to overcome the status quo, and the status quo is one of the biggest factors that courts look at in determining custody, okay? So you want the status quo to be as close to what you want ultimately as you can have it right now, okay? So you want it to kind of mirror what you want, which means that if you really want 50-50 custody, you really do need to exert 50-50 custody, okay? And the easiest way to do that is to be in the home with the kids when you file for divorce. There's just something about that. It creates a status quo, assumption of 50-50, and the other things that it does, it really makes the other person uncomfortable. And you know, we're divorce attorneys and we got to use leverage however we can here. So we use whatever we got, and really it does make people uncomfortable, which means that they want to get out and through the process as quickly as possible. So what we found is when we do this, we say, hey, look, you know, our client's not getting out of the house. Let's just go to mediation and get this thing done. Then we go to mediation, we're in there. The other spouse wants it done as quickly as they can, and they're willing to deal with us more, and they're willing to give our clients more custody and parent time with the kids. That's the reality of it. Helped, you know, coming up on 4,000 people through divorce here in Utah. That's what I've seen. It's what a lot of my friends have seen as well. Almost all divorce attorneys will tell you, be in the house when you file for divorce. And here's a tip. Here's another tip. If you have left the house, okay, and you've been out of the house for 2, 3 months, whatever it is, and then you're going to file for divorce, get back in the house. So just say, hey, look, I'm coming back in the house. I'll sleep in the basement. I'll sleep on the couch. You do whatever is necessary to get back in there and then file for divorce. Absolutely one of the most important things that you can do to get 50-50 custody with your kids when you're going through divorce. Okay, so let's move on to number 3. I'm going to try to write a little bigger here. And I apologize for my handwriting because it's absolutely terrible. It's always been terrible ever since I was a little tiny kid. So, okay, so fight, all right? You have to be willing to fight if you want 50-50 custody. Again, especially if you're a guy in Utah. The assumption in Utah is not 50-50 custody, right? It is more along the lines of 35% to the dad or 40% to the dad and 60 to 65% to mom. It's just kind of how it works out in most cases. So if you really want 50-50 custody, you got to fight for it. We have been through this process with, you know, lots and lots of guys at this point. Lots of guys that are pilots, lots of guys that are truckers, lots of guys that are stockbrokers, any range, doctors, like any range of occupations. We've been through it with tons and tons of guys. We know how to help everybody get 50-50 here. And I get this question all the time. Can I even get it? Is it even worth fighting for? If you're an involved dad or if you're an involved parent and you're in the house when you file for divorce and you're not like selling crack out of the back of your car or something like that, yeah, it's absolutely obtainable, but you have to be willing to stand your ground and go for it. Most of the time what we found is that guys will come in, or women will come in, because it's not just guys. Our clients will come in and they'll say, I want 50-50. And we say, okay, you know, this is what we're going to do. We're going to take these steps and we're going to go through this. We have your back. We will do everything possible to get you 50-50 because that is your number one. And then we get into negotiation. We go to mediation. And they realize that their spouse is just not quite there. And they're going to have to fight for it, right? They may have to go to a custody evaluation, or we have to go to a custody evaluation. We have to do this, that, or the other. And then they just kind of give up. And they say, well, I don't really want to do that. I'll just take 30%, or I'll take 35%. And look, if that's where you are emotionally, if that's where you are, and you just can't do this, then that's okay. And we'll do whatever we can for you. But again, if you want that 50-50, you just have to realize in the beginning that things are going to be hard and that you are going to have a decision point, and you are going to have to decide at some point, do I continue the fight to get 50-50 with my kids so I can have them with me all the time, so I can exert influence on their lives, so I can be a true parent to them and maximize my time with them, or am I going to give up? Okay, those are really the two options you have, and you're always going to come to that decision at some point during your divorce, and you just have to realize that if you want 50-50, you got to make the decision to fight. There's no way around it. So keep that in mind. So those are our 3 top secrets, and then I'm going to give you a bonus. Which is be ready to spend money for time. Okay, this is what I mean by that. Be ready to spend money for time. Okay. Sometimes the other parent, and this is going to sound dirty, but it's not. This is just the way things go in divorce. Sometimes the other parent simply wants more money in exchange for time with the kids. So one parent will have the advantage in a divorce case, and they think they can get 60, 65, 70%, but they're willing to come down to 50-50 if they get more money. If they get more money in child support, if they get more money in alimony, if they get more money in assets, if they get less money in debt, whatever it may be, okay? So you have to decide, am I going to trade money for time with my kids? And for me personally, this is an absolute no-brainer. I'm just trading money for time with my children. Even if I feel it's a little bit dirty, I'm still going to do it, because ultimately the thing that's most important to me is time with my children, is the ability to exert my influence in their life, is to be able to teach them, to be with them, okay? That is my greatest joy. And for you, I hope that's your greatest joy as well. Realize that if that is, then you might have to trade money for it, even though it feels a little bit dirty to you, okay? It's just the reality of negotiation. It's just the reality of divorce. And you can lament about it all you want. I hear people lament about it all the time. But, we trade money for things we value every day. That is the purpose of money, okay? The purpose of money is to take these dead dollar bills and to make them alive in something that gives us joy and gives us pleasure, okay? And if that is what we do with money, then spend it on your kids. It's okay. Even if it feels a little bit dirty, even if it feels like you're losing a little bit to your ex, whatever, man. If you want the 50-50, sometimes you gotta pay for it. That's just the reality of it. So that's the bonus right there. Okay, so those are the 3 secrets to getting 50-50 custody with your kids, and we got the bonus in there. That is what I had for this portion. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you later.